doors in that. And I really want to thank, there was originally going to be 8 candidates here, and I want to thank all 7 of the other candidates and their supporters, and my supporters too, of course. It was a real honor for me to be part of such an engaged and informed electorate, and we all should be proud that we've taken such an active role. Especially, I want to thank everyone who voted, especially those of you who voted for me. But definitely we should all be proud of how I turned out. I'd like to think it was because of that and not any other 6 candidates, but we're probably realistic because of the presidential candidates. But we need to hopefully get a similar turnout on April 1st, not just for the sake of our race, but for the sake of the Taylor race, the Lewis Butler race. There's a lot of important races that we should do. In terms of our day-to-day life, we'll be more affected by these decisions on the state level than we are by what happens in the president, which is obviously very important. So, from day one, for 8 months, the Nik Kovac alderman campaign has been out there doing grassroots outreach and organizing. And we've gained a lot of momentum. Thousands of you have already shown your faith in this campaign, and we're hoping that thousands more of you will. On February 19th, we heard a clear mandate from the voters of this district. And that mandate was we can't keep doing things the way we've been doing. And on April 1st, I think we're going to hear another clear mandate, which is we need to get beyond politics as usual. This campaign was not approved in advance by the city's power structure. This campaign has always been, from the very beginning, about listening to you, reaching out to voters, and making sure that our voices are heard directly at City Hall. This campaign has not been about attack rhetoric. This campaign has been about bringing people together. And if we all come together, we're not going to agree on everything, of course, but if we all come together, we'll be able to make better decisions, and we'll be able to get things done. During the primary campaign, I was talking about 3 main issues. We usually have about a minute. So I said that we needed the wise use of tax dollars, we needed safer streets and homes, and we need development that will stand the test of time. If this time permits a little more, I'm going to go into the details of some of those issues and some other issues that are all related to those 2 fundamental issues: safety, services backed by tax dollars, and smart, sustainable development. To begin with, environmental protection, and this is a great setting to talk about environmental protection. It's night out, but I'm sure all of us know what the view is like from here. I've been jogging by this building since I could run. To come over the Line Bridge, and I always had to decide whether to go right or left before I kept going around my loop. So this park is amazing. This lake is amazing. This city, we have incredible environmental resources, and we need to protect our parks. We need to protect our green space. We need to be good stewards of the 20% of the world's fresh water that's at our doorstep. And part of that is we have to control combined sewer overflows, which we already have done with the deep tunnel, to the extent that that's financially possible. And now we need to think harder about stormwater retention. I've been involved in this. I wrote an article, some of you may have read, about what you can do to save Milwaukee's beaches. And that involves rain gardens, rain barrels. It involves not using so much water on rainy days. There's things we need to do to make sure there isn't as much pollutants released into the lake. There's also things technically beyond the City Council's control related to the Great Lakes Compact, related to invasive species in the St. Lawrence Seaway. But we need to be, I need to be, all of us, but especially our representative, needs to be an ambassador on these issues to the state, to the national, to the international bodies that help decide what happens to these resources. The Milwaukee River Work Group is a tremendous example of proactive community planning. Usually you only see this in churches or in bars. Usually when neighbors get tight outside of those 2 places about something, it's usually because they're against something. And it's unfortunate because it makes it easier for the power structure to divide neighborhoods. But when neighbors get out in front of something and force the leaders of the city to acknowledge a fundamental reality like the Milwaukee River Work Group has done, that needs to happen more often. And that's what I've already been a part of, that's what many of you in this room have been a part of, and that needs to be a goal. Preserving the Milwaukee River is actually a pro-development position because you preserve that environmental greenway, you add value to all of the existing properties and all of the new properties that we build. It's not exactly on the river, but it's near enough that people can use it. Another issue that needs more proactive planning, and I'm a part of this already, as are many of you in this room, is historic preservation. We don't really have an independent preservation voice in this city right now. I'm an active board member of Historic Milwaukee Incorporated, which is primarily an educational, currently, an outreach program. We have walking tours, we have forums. It's a wonderful institution, but there's a void right now. We're in discussions. There's been a summit recently of people of preservation-minded. Dawn was there, Randy was there, several water tower people were there. And this is an important discussion, and the idea here is instead of having last-minute picketing, to have first-hour negotiations on these fundamental issues that are affecting us. And there have been several, and I think we can all pretty much agree they've been a mess. And the process has been a mess, and we might disagree on how much the results have been a mess. But everybody agrees the process has been a mess. And I'm talking about, Pap City and Gustavo Brewery, I'm talking about Donner Avenue and others that have happened. And we needed to have a better discussion from the beginning. And we did it for a lot of reasons, and we're going to get change in our government, which will be a help to that. But we're not always sure who we're electing. So you need to have some independent community forces that can keep a check on this. The River Work Group's an example environmentally, and we need to have a force like that in the preservation movement that can force informed negotiation. And when you're talking about historic preservation, you're not just talking about social and cultural elitists who like old buildings to be just so. You're talking about a marketable commodity that will affect the city. Donner Avenue is a marketable commodity. It's not Bayshore, and because it's not Bayshore, people want to spend money there and people want to live near it. We need to understand that, and we need to think harder about these decisions we make so that we're thinking about the next generation's quality of life and not just next year's tax base. Next year's tax base is important. Everyone who's on the common council worries about it because we have to make tough decisions. And we need to have some long-term thinking. We need to have sustainable development. That means environmentally sustainable, stormwater retention, energy efficiency, neighborhood amenities, green space. It also means social and economic sustainability. That means we're not just doing real estate development, we're doing economic development. We're creating jobs, so when we do build some condos or smaller new units, the next generation people can afford those. We need to build things, as I was saying before, my boilerplate during the primary, that will stand the test of time. We need to build buildings that will hold their value and will increase the value of the properties nearby. That's something fundamental we need to work on. In terms of getting jobs into the city, we can think about all these things together in terms of creating a new green economy, where we have new green zoning for construction standards, and we also have, in our old industrial spaces, and with our old work ethic, and lots of people who are unemployed right now, we can put them to work building alternative energy, building solar panels, building geothermal units, building better insulation, helping retrofit all of these old homes that aren't that energy efficient right now. That's something we can do now. The city's already taken some initiatives along the 30th Street corridor, and I'm going to be a champion of those issues. And it's not just me, but I think it's the people that need this to happen. If we don't do it, if we don't champion these new technologies and start building them, somebody else will, and we'll be buying them from them. So this is something we should start doing more. We're going to talk about